Tonight, a woman attacked while exercising in Melbourne's north. Do you recognise the suspects? Happening now, the hunt for thugs wanted over a machete attack in the heart of Brighton. An unhappy homecoming. Frustrated farmers turn on the Premier on her home turf. The frantic search for occupants after a Bayside bar went up in flames. Kamala Harris bears her soul as she stakes her claim on the White House. A twist in the $100 million Powerball draw. And the AFL fixture thrown into turmoil. Why matches are being rescheduled.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. Police are hunting a sex predator accused of a chilling daylight attack on a woman while she was out jogging in Melbourne's north. Tyra Stowers has the latest on the manhunt, and Tyra detectives are desperate to identify this attacker.
Well, Mitch, the woman was jogging at 11:30 last Wednesday morning when the man threw her to the ground. Now, police say she was running beneath the bridge behind me here in Jetstar Reserve near Johnston Street when this man sexually assaulted her. The woman fought back and managed to get away, seeking help from locals who called 000. She was then taken to hospital. Disturbingly, though, this predator has been out in the community for more than 10 days now.
The CCTV that we've obtained depicts a male running towards the victim in this incident. So we believe at some point this male has observed the female running and ran towards her and attacked her.
It's not on, it's just a shame. And it's like, what, now we're going to have to be stressing, having heart palpitations every time we come here because this psycho out there.
Now, police say this is an isolated incident, but they do have concerns for the community and are asking anyone who recognises this man to come forward. Mitch.
Tyra Stowers at Jetstar. Thank you. Teenage violence has erupted on the streets of Brighton, where machete-wielding thugs faced off in front of shoppers. Geordie Wright is on Church Street tonight, and Geordie, it happened just as school was finishing.
Mitch, witnesses say a group of machete-wielding teenagers clashed here near Middle Brighton Railway around 3 p.m. Footage taken by one passerby shows one of the youths throwing a sandwich board at another before the tables turned. Shocked witnesses called 000. Following reports, a number of teenage boys armed with machetes were fighting in the streets. The two groups left before police arrived, fleeing to the nearby train station. Now, this violence comes just 24 hours after another teen machete attack at Fraser Rise. Chilling footage shows a group of youths wearing all black and carrying long blades shortly before the attack. A 16-year-old boy was stabbed in that incident, but no arrests have been made. Mitch.
Geordie Wright at Brighton. Thank you. Hundreds of frustrated farmers have confronted the Premier in her hometown of Bendigo. They're fuming over plans to build dozens of transmission towers through their backyards.
Little protesters with a big message for the Premier.
Why would they cut down trees for solar panels and batteries? Animals live in those trees and trees give us fresh air.
Hundreds of fed-up farmers travelled from all over Victoria to Bendigo today, pushing back against the government's plans to build renewable energy infrastructure through their backyards.
It's obvious that you would sooner starve to death than sit in the dark.
This is going to really inhibit our way of doing that, producing sustainable food.
They rallied outside a rural press club event attended by Jacinta Allen, also calling for more resources at hospitals, better mobile phone reception and funding for critical infrastructure. Many issues with one common thread, a lack of agency.
We're in the regions. This government doesn't care about the regions.
Families say they feel ignored by the Premier.
They just want to be listened to, and right now the state government is taking away any right of appeal.
Farmers just want to be out there farming with the least amount of red tape out there.
While the protest continued outside, the Premier stayed firmly inside, arriving through a back entrance and avoiding media. The crowd had hoped she'd come out and listen to them. Instead, she spoke about them.
Whether it's water, whether it's the quality of the soil, we are the most exposed to this issue in rural and regional Victoria. And part of the answer to that is delivering more renewable energy.
Then left without a word. Bethan Yeoman, 7 News.
Diners and staff have been forced to flee as fire tore through a popular restaurant in Elwood. The blaze began when a deep fryer exploded, with one local filming the emergency while trying to battle the flames.
Towering flames spewing from an Elwood restaurant.
Holy.
Christopher Burrell saw the blaze from his home, grabbed a fire extinguisher and charged towards the flames.
Holy.
Ran down not knowing if anyone was still in the building or not, with my little kitchen fire extinguisher that was no match for the size of the flames that were coming out of the roof.
I'm okay, is everyone out?
You could see people escaping out the back with their pets from the courtyard.
The fire started when a deep fryer erupted around 9:30 last night.
I've never seen something go up so quickly, and I was just standing there looking at it thinking, we've lost this place.
That's gone. That's gone.
I just could not even talk. I just went into shock.
The live music venue has been a local institution for 20 years.
It's just a very, very welcoming and special place to many musos and other punters alike.
Because this is a local Elwood icon, so you don't really want to lose it.
Today, devastated residents left messages of support. The venue has been gutted, and while the building is insured, the business isn't. Locals hope this won't be the end of an era for live music here.
If the Elwood Lounge doesn't reopen, it'll put a big gap in my heart, but it'll put a bigger gap in lots of other people.
Geordie Wright, 7 News.
The threat of industrial action has forced the AFL to rejig the final round fixture. Theo Doropoulos has the details live from the MCG. And Theo, it's a late curveball for at least 4 clubs.
Certainly is, Mitch. It's the last thing you'd need while you're preparing for finals, and namely for Hawthorn, the most important game of the season. Now, the Hawks did arrive in Launceston for their final hit-out against the Roos tomorrow, preparing for a game that's now just a couple of hours earlier than first thought. That's because staff responsible for fixing power outages in Launceston are on strike. Hence, the AFL cannot risk a game starting under lights being plunged into darkness. So what this means is Hawthorn's do-or-die clash against North Melbourne will now start at 12:30. It's 4 hours earlier than the original start time. There's a knock-on effect for Richmond and Gold Coast as well. That's now starting at 3:20. Of particular interest if you're here to try and get a glimpse of Dustin Martin in his last outing with the Tigers. It is a blow for Hawks fans travelling to Launceston as well. There is one flight going there tomorrow if you want to rally around your team as they push for the finals. A flight getting you there at 9 o'clock will set you back $1,000, Mitch.
Theo Doropoulos at the MCG, thank you. The CFMEU has been plunged into administration by the federal government after weeks of corruption allegations. Hundreds of jobs have been axed in a move union bosses have labelled a disgusting farce.
After weeks of allegations of links to criminal gangs, corruption and bullying, the writing was on the wall.
There's no place for corruption or intimidation in the building industry from unions.
It's appropriate that we just stamp out this criminal, corrupt behaviour.
Early this morning, the axe fell. The CFMEU plunged into administration, effective immediately. 270 union officials gone. The embattled union says they learned the news through the media and then teed off. This entire farce was born through a baseless media and government stitch-up. The lack of due process and basic democratic rights from this government is disgusting and simply un-Australian.
There is fear out there in industry of reprisal.
I think ultimately the CFMEU ought to be deregistered.
New powers were handed to the federal government just days ago, allowing them to intervene. On the chopping block, New South Wales Chief Darren Greenfield, John Setka's protege Derek Christopher, the man tasked with the clean-up, now CFMEU Administrator Mark Irving KC. One of his first jobs, curbing concerns officials could still operate on other state sites. The administrator's work has already begun, but the CFMEU could challenge it through the courts, with other unions likely to support the move.
Workers have a right to be represented as well by unions, and unions that do the right thing and are as honest as every other organisation we expect to work with, and that's what the administrator will do.
Rochelle Brown, 7 News.
And on Sunday night, former CFMEU boss John Setka breaks his silence. The full story on 7 News at 6, then on Spotlight at 8:40. A mother critically injured in an alleged hit run in Corio earlier this month has died in hospital. Tanya's family says words cannot express the devastation they feel. They're extremely thankful to the members of the public, police, paramedics and emergency services, adding they're proud her last gift was to donate her organs so that others can continue to live their lives. The 18-year-old driver will now have his charges upgraded to dangerous driving causing death. A magnitude 5 quake has rocked the Hunter region in New South Wales. It hit near Denman, northwest of Newcastle, around lunchtime, causing widespread damage, blackouts and even forced schools to evacuate.
Looked at outside of my glass door and I can see my barbecue shaking.
We kind of panicked at first and didn't really move.
The tremors were so strong they were felt as far away south as Western Sydney, 150 kilometres away. Kamala Harris has officially accepted the Democratic Party's nomination for the presidency. On the final day of the party's convention, the Vice President savaged Donald Trump, framing the election as a fight between democracy and tyranny.
Pitching to be the first ever woman elected as America's president. Kamala Harris catapulted here just 4 weeks ago.
I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
The former prosecutor laying out her case.
I believe everyone has a right to safety, to dignity, and to justice.
Attacking her opponent point by point.
He was found guilty of fraud by a jury of everyday Americans liable for committing sexual abuse. He sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol.
And for her closing argument on Trump, she looked to the future, one where he returns to the White House.
Consider the power he will have, especially after the United States Supreme Court just ruled that he would be immune from criminal prosecution. Imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails between democracy and tyranny. I know where I stand and I know where the United States belongs.
With her husband, stepchildren, sister and nieces front row, she gave an insight into her family life too. After her parents separated, she was raised by a single mother.
She also taught us, and never do anything half-assed.
She says her father taught her to be fearless.
Run, Kamala, run. Don't be afraid. Don't let anything stop you.
Now running for the most powerful office in the world.
The mood here buoyant, even euphoric. But who knows how the last 4 days have affected critical, undecided voters. Democrats will now be sweating on the next opinion polls.
For America's future.
In Chicago, Tim Lester, 7 News.
A major restructure of the Reserve Bank is a step closer tonight. In a bid to win opposition support, Treasurer Jim Chalmers has agreed not to replace members of the powerful interest rate setting board. The government will also retain the power to override RBA decisions.
We are prepared to limit the Parliament's override powers to emergency situations, to rare instances.
The Coalition is considering the proposal. 3 women have been charged over a wild chase across Melbourne's north that left a police officer injured.
He's on the escape, bro. Get him, boys.
Officers tried to stop the trio in a Campbellfield car park before they drove off, clipping the officer. Stopped sticks were later deployed at Epping, bringing the crime spree to an end. All 3 women have been charged. The Olympic medalist, labelled a traitor for defecting to Great Britain, says racing in green and gold always felt strange. Track cyclist Matthew Richardson says his critics are meaningless keyboard warriors who should appreciate the medals he won for Australia.
After copping it for nearly a week, Matthew Richardson says this interview is no BS, no keyboard warriors, just the truth.
The ones that matter are the ones that are supportive, you know, and all the negative comments and hate that's been getting thrown around are from people that probably don't even know what sport I play.
Labelled Judas, poorer form than ray gun, and slammed for accepting Aussie funding.
These are people that, you know, sit behind their keyboards and do nothing other than just bash meaningless words into the computer.
Born and raised in England till age 9, he says the dream to race for GB started the first time he rode for Australia in 2017. His favourite memory is winning Com Games gold in the London Velodrome.
And I just think, what if I was English at that Commonwealth Games?
Richardson, his parents and Britain's cycling chief kept the defection secret since January. Now he's urging Oz Cycling not to push for a 2-year ban from international racing.
They wish me well and hope that, you know, everything continued nicely.
The former gymnast says critics should just appreciate the medals he won for Australia. As for claims he's switched for money, not love of mother country.
This is my dream. This was what I wanted for so long, and I'm living it. And it's going to be pretty cool. Anything else that comes with it is a bonus.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
We're in for a blockbuster finish to footy's home and away season with almost every spot in the top 8 up for grabs. Abbey Gelmi is live inside the MCG, and Abbey, it all kicks off tonight.
Mitch, the D's and the Pies can't make the finals, but the Blues can, and they've made a big call on one of their superstar forwards. We'll explain all soon. Also ahead, Ross Lyon weighs in on the future of a star saint. And the Crows in damage control after a selection spot fire. And there's plenty ahead. We'll preview tonight's D's and Pies clash as well, Mitch.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Abbey. Passenger safety is in the spotlight as new details emerge on what sparked the wild Jetstar emergency on the tarmac at Melbourne Airport. Also ahead on 7 News, road rage fury plays out in Melbourne's inner east. Powerball's $100 million winner reveals how she almost lost the lucky ticket. And later, the Discovery hailed a heart disease game changer. And the simple tips to boost your property's value by 20%. Punches have been thrown in a wild road rage attack in Melbourne's inner east. The altercation played out on Wallen Road in Burnley, where a van driver took aim at a man in a ute. The fight stopped traffic and was witnessed by dozens of shocked motorists. A Jetstar passenger has described the frantic moments before an airport emergency at Tullamarine. He was sitting in the exit row when an out-of-control man forced his way out of the plane and onto the wing.
Sitting on a far more boring seat today, Kyle Kenneth recounts the moment a man reached over him to open the emergency door and run onto the wing of a Jetstar plane.
His eyes were glossed over, he just had that singular focus, that's where he was going.
The man was arrested and taken to hospital.
What's wrong with him?
He's in a stable condition and hasn't been charged yet.
He was here and then the flight attendant was pulling him back, literally, I would say on her heels, she was putting everything into it.
Kyle Kenneth was seated in 12F, one of the exit rows, allowing direct access to the wing in an emergency.
The row, I suppose, 11 and 13 were all standing up as well, and they were all just stop. But no, there was nobody being forceful at that time because he wasn't being forceful. He just looked confused, to be honest.
2 of those passengers were off-duty flight attendants.
Just pulled the door and he just ripped it onto where I was sitting before.
Kyle thought it safer to let him go, saying once he's outside the plane, there's less risk to passengers inside.
I would be afraid, if there was more, even men involved, kind of holding him down, that he would have got more aggressive.
Opening the door activated the slide, just like this. The Airbus A320 was out of service all day, but Jetstar engineers worked quickly. The emergency door and its slide were repaired last night. The aircraft returned to service this morning, flying to Queenstown first thing. 5,000 Jetstar flights each week. Even the schedule waits for no one. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
A trio of Chinese nationals have been arrested for allegedly conspiring to collect and hide a group of illegal boat arrivals. The case is reigniting a fiery political debate over border control.
He's accused of planning to drive illegal asylum seekers from the remote Kimberley coast to Sydney. Instead, federal police drive him to court. Shui Son, one of 3 Chinese nationals, along with mother and daughter Xu Yan Hong and Zhong Feng Jian, from Truscott Air Base in the remote northwest. It's understood they plan to drive the 15 Chinese men right across the country to Sydney. All 3 granted bail today.
There are serious penalties for these offences, including jail time.
10 years jail, a $300,000 fine, or both. The illegal arrivals landing in April, the 3rd group in 6 months, walking into Truscott Air Base, caught and sent to Nauru. There have been no reported arrivals since. Border Force's message:
you will never settle in Australia. You have zero chance of success.
The message from opposition leader Peter Dutton is a little different, trying to use the arrests to ignite yet another round of the border wars.
People smugglers always take advantage of a weak Prime Minister. We saw it with Kevin Rudd, we saw it with Julia Gillard, we're now seeing it with Anthony Albanese.
The Treasurer says the arrests prove the system is working.
This is a message to the people smugglers, to the people who trade in human lives, that if you do the wrong thing, you'll get busted.
Claiming the borders are secure. Mark Riley, 7 News.
A Brisbane mother has claimed the entire $100 million Powerball jackpot, but she almost lost the winning ticket after putting it in her glove box and forgetting about it until this morning.
She scanned that ticket online and then the waterworks came. She said that she couldn't believe it, and she also said that she was too scared to perhaps even breathe because she didn't know if it was real.
The winner says she's lived a modest life. Now she just wants to spoil her family. Why not? Jane Bunn joins us now. And Jane, how long does the rain stick around?
Oh, Mitch, that rain arrived late afternoon. There is more to come tonight. But it doesn't last. We're heading into a sunny Saturday. A band of rain is steadily moving eastwards across the state. There is a break in behind the initial part, then rain and storms to follow. Earlier reached 19 in the city. Despite the rain, it's still up on 14 now. It won't fall much further tonight, thanks to these gusty northerly winds ahead of and with that rain. The yellow area here shows that damaging winds are likely tonight into the early hours of tomorrow. That does include the outer suburbs of Melbourne. But all of this doesn't last long, and I'll show you just how warm it'll be tomorrow after sport, Mitch.
Looking forward to that. Thank you, Jane. Gillan McLachlan is off to a rough start in his new job. That's coming up next. Also, Melbourne motorists are being warned to brace for months of traffic chaos. We'll reveal where and when after the break. The miracle moment, 2 people walked away from this plane crash. A young child pulled to safety in a balcony emergency. And see the largest diamond discovery for more than a century. Commuters are being warned about months of disruptions across the city. The M80 Ring Road, Altona bound to the Westgate Freeway City bound, will close from Friday, September 6th as part of Westgate Tunnel works. The Williamstown Road inbound exit ramp will also close from early October. Testing in the Metro Tunnel will force weekend closures on the Sunbury, Cranbourne, Pakenham and Gippsland lines from October. And part of Clayton Road will close completely from August 27th for works on the suburban rail loop. Tabcorp has been hit with a multi-million-dollar fine for preying on problem gamblers. In one case, they offered thousands of dollars worth of free bets to a customer whose betting patterns had raised serious concerns.
Tabcorp has copped a $4.6 million fine for targeting vulnerable customers, giving new CEO Gillian McLaughlin an early headache in the top job.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gillian.
Tab sent ads 6 times to a customer who had opted out of receiving promotions, and a welfare call to a punter whose betting patterns had drastically increased ended with a $2,000 match of bonus bets added to their account.
I would describe it as probably one of the worst things I've heard. When I first heard it, I thought it was a joke.
That conduct of bonus bets is a terrible, predatory abuse of power.
It's the largest fine Tab has received in Victoria, but a drop in the ocean compared to its revenue. It equates to 0.19% of $2.43 billion.
What is extraordinary to me and to most Australians is that gambling companies like Tab have become too big to fail.
Tab says the breaches took place under previous management. The company says it's taken steps to improve customer safety, restructuring its safer gambling team and bringing in new technology to detect changes in gambling behaviour. It claims that'll allow for faster interventions to protect customers from harm. The gambling watchdog says the investigation was only possible because of tip-offs from those affected. Emma O'Sullivan, 7 News.
Nearby security cameras have captured the moment a light plane crashed in a Western Sydney park. The crash happened just metres from school children, with both the pilot and his student walking away with only minor injuries. A worker has risked his life to save a young boy in Spain. The 6-year-old climbed onto a second-floor railing and couldn't get down. A man painting inside another apartment heard his cries for help and inched along the narrow ledge, guiding the boy to safety. The local council is planning a ceremony to recognise the hero painter for his bravery. And the second largest diamond in history has been discovered in an African mine. The 2,492-carat stone was unearthed in Botswana and is the biggest find since 1905. Early estimations suggest the stone could be worth upwards of $60 million. A hero security guard has been brought to tears by the little Australian girl he saved from a stabbing attack in London. The two now share a lifelong bond.
Abdullah is the security guard who was willing to sacrifice his own life.
That was my duty as a human.
Overcome with emotion, hearing Samantha and Layla Johnson's messages of support.
He didn't hesitate. He's exactly who you want around in a time like that.
I'm happy that I made a difference in her life. She's like my sister.
11-year-old Layla from Candlow in New South Wales was attacked at random during a stabbing spree in Leicester Square. Abdullah leapt into action, jumping on the knife-wielding man.
I heard the screams of a girl or her mom. It was just over here at this position. The moment I saw it, I just started running toward him.
That horrific ordeal is still difficult to relive.
I've never experienced anything like that in my life before, and we are not trained to be dealing with that situation.
Like brother and sister, the pair's bond is unbreakable, and Abdullah hopes to visit Layla in the near future.
I wish I will travel to Australia as well to see her one day, hopefully soon.
Angelique Opie, 7 News.
3 jewel thieves are on the run after a destructive ram raid in Melbourne's west. We'll have the details next on 7 News. Also ahead, the Victorian Discovery hailed a heart disease game changer. The simple changes to help boost the value of your property by up to 20%. And people power to the rescue as a juvenile whale is freed off Australia's east coast. Detectives are looking for 3 offenders wanted over a ram raid in Footscray. Police say they smashed glass cabinets and stole jewellery from the business on Barclay Street just before 2 o'clock this morning. It's believed they were travelling in a black Mazda hatchback. A breakthrough from Melbourne scientists could lead to new life-saving treatment for patients with heart disease. It's hoped their discovery will help prevent one of Australia's biggest killers.
By pinpointing a major cause of deadly cardiovascular disease and debilitating strokes, Melbourne scientists hope they've unlocked the key to preventing them.
It's very exciting, the prospect of one day we will have treatments that can save people's lives.
Cardiovascular disease is now one of our biggest killers, responsible for 1 in 4 adult deaths in Australia every year. Another 50,000 people are struck down by stroke.
So the response happens when people, for example, their heart valves are narrowed.
New research by the Baker Institute has found the body's natural immune system can also trigger these conditions. Blood cells called neutrophils expand and release a web-like substance to attack harmful invaders in the body, nature's way to fight infection. But in doing so, the cells can also block the arteries and cause blood clots. Scientists have now identified the sensors which trigger this immune response, so the next step is to develop treatment to manage it and prevent those risky complications.
From that, we can take it to patients.
Christy Mayer, 7 News.
A juvenile whale has been saved after a marathon 22-hour rescue mission to free it from fishing nets in Sydney Harbour.
I feel really good, actually. Yeah. It's it was a great result after a lot of hard work that the team.
The specialist team used purpose-built tools to free the 13-metre-long humpback. The booming spring real estate season is almost here, and there are ways to supercharge your sale by as much as 20%. An expert interior designer has spilled the secrets on how to stage your home on a budget.
When spring blooms, real estate booms, and this year, staging is king.
The staging was $7,000, and I believe that got us another extra $100,000 on the price of the property.
Transforming this empty Shorncliffe house to a picture-perfect home, boosting the selling price by 15%.
Kids go into a bedroom when it's been styled and go, "Mum, this is my room," and it's because that's where the furniture's in there. It's set up as a room.
Celebrity interior designer Kelly Richardson says staging is now essential. It's all about creating space, removing bulky furniture and personal photos and ornaments.
Because we want people to visualise themselves in your house, not you in their house.
Joel Pears is about to put his home on the market and has called on Kelly to help.
They do this all the time, whereas, for me, it's something like out of my depth.
She says start by filling each room with the right-sized furniture.
You would easily fit a double bed in here. Bedrooms make you more money.
In the kitchen, clear the bench tops and appliances, while in the bathroom, declutter.
Definitely take out floor mats, especially because what it does is it actually closes in the bathroom to make it smaller.
If you can't vacate the property while it's on the market, remove all traces of children and pets for each open home. But you don't need to break the budget to have an impact.
Candles, diffusers, throw cushions, some artwork and some throw pillows, and it looks amazing.
Spending a little to make a lot. Samantha Heathwood, 7 News.
An annual Melbourne charity lunch for research into children's cancer raised more than $2 million in a matter of hours. Crown has hosted the $1 million lunch for 15 years. Its suppliers donated more than 600 kilos of beef and 300 whole lobsters free of charge for the fundraiser. The Demons and Pies kickstart the final round with nearly every spot in the 8 up for grabs this weekend. Let's get back to Abbey Gelmi at the MCG, and Abbey, pride is on the line tonight.
Mitch, both teams will be doing some soul-searching in September. Coming up after the break, the D's addressed Christian Petrarca's future. A big blue ruled out less than 24 hours after being named as Doc's patience pays off. Ross Lyon on the battle to keep a star saint, and the Aussie gun hoping to upgrade Olympic silver to a maiden world title.
Tonight's edition of The Nightly is out now. Australia's only digital newspaper to drop nightly. Free to your device every weeknight. Spend your night wisely at thenightly.com.au.
Welcome back to the MCG, where the D's and the Pies kick off the final round. Returning to Theo Dropoulos, and Theo, Melbourne football boss Alan Richardson has just guaranteed Christian Petrarca will be at the club next year.
Well, Abbey, Petrarca's future's been one of the hottest topics in football, certainly in recent months following his season-ending injury. That was against Collingwood here in the King's birthday clash. As for tonight, there's a little bit of spite between these two teams. They don't get on that well. It dates back to the qualifying final last year, Stephen May's subsequent comments, and then, of course, that spiteful game on King's birthday. Always fierce between these two teams. But Petrarca's future, he's contracted until 2029. Question marks about whether he was settled in the D's, whether he would be here next year, emphatically answered by the head of football, Alan Richardson, tonight.
He'd been really struggling mentally based on the trauma of the event, and then the way that he was processing that and the way that he was dealing with that, and it was just a great opportunity to give a bit of clarity for his teammates, and they really appreciate it. He'll be with us. We're looking forward to getting him back fit and firing and healthy. That's our priority, but no, he'll definitely be with us.
There's no doubt there's been some flare and fire up on the field, and tonight with the weather, I dare say there could be some more, but they're always big games, two big clubs going at it.
So no late changes for either team. Finn McRae, Bailey Laurie, the subs. A little bit of rain around, conditions slightly greasy for the opening of this one. It's going to be great. After this, both teams with a lot of thinking to do over the summer ahead of what should be a massive 2025 for Collingwood and Melbourne. Abbey.
Thank you, Theo. The hits keep coming for the Blues, with a star forward ruled out just 24 hours after being named. It couldn't come at a worse time, with Carlton's season on a knife's edge.
Named in the side yesterday, Michael Voss ruling out Charlie Curnow today.
I'll start with the bad news. Charlie's not playing. Yeah, we sort of thought that he might be able to pull up pretty well from some of the things that he did the other day, but hasn't pulled up as well as what we expected.
The Blues won without both their star forwards last week, and they'll have to do it again to guarantee a spot in September.
I'll run through my ladder predictor. I think we can still finish fourth. Well, if Brisbane lose, Geelong lose, Western Bulldogs lose, and who's the other one? That's Hawthorn lose, we can finish fourth.
While Sam Doherty won't be out there this week, should they play finals, he'll be right in the mix.
He's progressing really well. He knocks on my door every single day. I'll tell him to go away until next week, and we'll see where it goes from there.
The Saints may have already cost Geelong a spot in the top two. Now they'll try to push the Blues out of the 8.
Emotion's fleeting, really. It's sort of zero motivation. Our motivation is to improve our football, and clearly we'd love a scalp, but if you focus on the winning, doesn't get done.
With no chance of a finals push, Josh Battle could play his final game for the club this weekend. The in-demand defender with links to Hawthorn.
Well, confidence is just a feeling. I don't tend to share my feelings, they're personal. And look, list management, it's the world we live in. It's free agency. It can be good, it can be bad.
Kate Massey, 7 News.
Chris Scott admits he's feeling the pressure ahead of another finals campaign. A win for the Cats over West Coast would guarantee a spot in the top 4 and a double chance.
We are on edge and there is some nervous excitement, but that's when the good stuff happens.
While Crows coach Matthew Nicks has shut down suggestions that Josh Rochelli's omission was due to his showdown celebrations.
It's not an isolated incident. This is not one scenario. This is something we've worked on for a period of time now.
I absolutely love the club. I love my teammates. And yeah, my future here is to beat the Adelaide Crows.
The Crows face the Swans in Sydney tomorrow night. Aussie gun Jack Robinson can upgrade Olympic silver to a maiden surfing world title. Robinson clinched his spot in the Tour finals by reaching the quarterfinals at Cloudbreak. Molly Picklum also secured her place at the finals, making the semis in Fiji.
Really looking forward to going back there and putting my best foot forward too, and just letting my surfing do the talking.
The top 5 men and women surf off for the titles in California from September 6th. And how's this for a claim to fame? Aussie Ben O'Connor is now a stage winner of all 3 of cycling's Grand Tours. He won stage 6 of the Vuelta a España and holds a leader's coveted red jersey by 4 minutes and 51 seconds. And for Formula One with Jack Doohan, the son of legendary MotoGP rider Mick, just signing a deal to join Alpine from next season. So with he and Oscar Piastri, who knows, we can see a double on the podium, Mitch.
That sounds terrific, Abbey. Thank you very much. Enjoy the match tonight. Plenty to play for. Spite on the line, I think. Thank you. Jane's back now with the forecast. And Jane, how warm is it turning this weekend?
Well, Mitch, both days should be around 7 degrees above average. I'll show you when to expect the sunshine next. And on tonight's bright side, from the red dirt to the reef, the charity drive doing it for the kids.
Big call.
There's just too many question marks.
What the future holds and why he's put his season on ice. Only on 7 News at 6.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.
Hello again. The rain is here just for tonight. By tomorrow, we're back in warm sunshine. The patches of blue from this morning didn't stick around. We had cloud gradually thickening and turning quite dark. It did reach 18.9 in the city, 20 in a few suburbs, 21 in Avalon. Rain arrived late afternoon. We are in a break for now, but there is more due this evening coming in from the west. Rain is pushing in from the west. There is a break in behind the initial rain with sunshine, then more rain to follow with the risk of thunderstorms. It reached Portland in the southwest first, a top of only 13 there today, with storms there now. Much of Gippsland reached 21, Mildura soared to 27. High pressure is out to our east, while front after front is lining up to cross the Bight. They move quickly, so the rain arrives and doesn't hang around for long. And with that high here out to our east, it remains warm, particularly in the dry breaks in between. Alice Springs, 33 yesterday, 35 was the top today. That is where our air is coming from. Here's the current rain system. Rain and storms moving through, but by the morning, it is all over. We're heading into a warm and dry Saturday. Sunday's rain system is bigger and it has a weak connection to the tropics. That's your key to know that the rain should extend well inland and last longer thanks to a trough then front. With the spring-like temperatures, there are further storms in this. Around the nation tomorrow, the warmth continues in Brisbane, 26. Sydney, early showers and warm sunshine, also 26. Adelaide in a break, sunny and 23. Windy in Perth, showers and storms developing. To Victoria, hardly any rain left by dawn. By midday, dry statewide. Mostly sunny during the day, mild to warm, with temperatures well above average. This is thanks to north to northwesterly winds, strong early, then becoming generally light. Heading for 24 in Orbost, 23 in Wodonga. Closer in, the last of the wet weather clears the outer northeastern suburbs around dawn. That's it, your Saturday's dry, bright sunshine. The gusty northerly winds ease back to light. All dry in the city tomorrow, a sunny Saturday on the way. I'm expecting it to reach 22. To the 8-day outlook, Sunday also 22. That's before a dramatic change in the afternoon. Showers and the risk of thunderstorms as temperatures drop. Showery on Monday and 17, a break on Tuesday, then back to some cooler conditions. Reaching 22 tomorrow in the bright sunshine after further rain this evening clears around midnight. On tonight's bright side, we take you on the ultimate road trip, all for a good cause. After 3,500 kilometres, a colourful convoy of 300 people arrived in Airlie Beach today.
We made it!
The 32nd Variety Big Bash left Swan Hill last Friday. The Red Dirt to Reef Adventure had a goal to raise $1.5 million for children facing challenges through sickness, disadvantage or disability. And along the way, more than $100,000 in grants were delivered to regional schools.
Bash, you gotta do it! Woo!
And Mitch, if you want to get involved in next year's fun, the registration's open Sunday morning.
OK, thanks very much, Jane. Now, for a lighter take on the week of news, here's Mark Humphreys.
The Democratic National Convention took place in Chicago this week. And if you're a fan of hearing people say the words freedom, democracy and weird, this is the convention for you. While the Republicans have a JD, the Democrats had a DJ.
My name is DJ Cassidy.
And I'd like to welcome you all to the Democratic National Convention roll call.
Now that may seem like a fun vibe, but things are pretty exciting over in the Republican campaign too.
I'm Judy Vance, American Vice President, Tennessee.
Okay.
But things were also awkward on the Democratic side. When it came time for the delegates to officially nominate Kamala Harris for president, the roll call got off to a rocky start.
Alabama, how do you cast your vote? Alabama passes.
If that's a pass, I'd hate to see what a fail looks like. Things really livened up though when they got to the state of Georgia. Rapper Little John there. I thought Little John was one of those stupid nicknames Donald Trump comes up with. Turns out it's just what the guy voluntarily calls himself. While attendees at the Republican convention in Wisconsin wore ear bandages, Democratic delegates from Wisconsin wore cheese hats. I'm assuming because Kamala Harris must have had a close call with a Jarlsberg. There has been a major incident on a Jetstar flight this week when a passenger, quote, ripped off the plane's emergency exit door. It's the first case of an airline story where the customer was the one doing the ripping off. The man then went so far as to climb onto the wing of the plane. But if you think that's bad, apparently he stood up when the seatbelt sign was still on. Personally, I'll stick to flying Alaska Airlines where the doors are ripped off mid-flight. A second man has been arrested for stealing limited edition Bluey coins created by the Australian Mint. I don't want to racially profile anyone, but if there's two of them, these Italian brothers have got to be suspects. Let's go. This latest development in the case comes after the arrest of a 47-year-old man, which feels both too old to have an interest in Bluey and yet too young to maintain an interest in coins. The new right to disconnect laws come into effect this Monday. So to any bosses out there, you have 48 hours left to piss off your staff. Under the laws, Australian workers will be legally protected if they refuse to monitor, read or respond to contact or attempted contact outside their working hours. Unfortunately, employees will not be protected from indignities like the phrase Happy Monday. And finishing with finance now, the ASX has closed down and Jetstar's bottom line has dipped by one airplane door. That's the 6:57 p.m. news. I'm Mark Humphreys.
And that's the way it is this Friday, the 23rd of August. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.